I'd like to think that we're not crazy, right? And then also crazy is this idea of it's like a spiritual or moral superiority that happens on the right with regards to certain elections, especially starting a long time ago, and it seems to be continuing to this point. Welcome to the ripple effect. So to start off with, I'd like to clarify something I said on Friday, and I was talking about how there's some questions that came up about it, and I was talking about how there are many ways to salvation or heaven, and it's kind of how it came out. It's not exactly what I was implying or meaning at all, and those that kind of know me know where I would stand on this thing. I believe that there's a lot of pathways to Jesus. I just don't believe that there's a lot of pathways to heaven except for Jesus. So meaning that if you're going to be saved, you're going to have to go through the Son, right? Jesus Christ. I don't think that there are only certain churches in the world that are the only ones that will get you there. I believe that there are more places that you'd be surprised that people, even if it's inadvertent, right? As happens sometimes, but people truly put their faith in Jesus Christ and Him alone and receive salvation. So that's kind of what I was implying. I wasn't implying that there's a lot of pathways besides Jesus. I'm hoping to clarify that so that no one's confused by that. Next, I wanted to mention the fact that this is part of my craziness. Like, are we literally crazy? So there was a story today about Luke Oil having to sell off its assets around the world because of the sanctions that Trump put on, more sanctions on Russia because Putin wouldn't come to the table. And I know you get to the point where we're in politics, you just go, am I literally crazy or is this just wild? Am I crazy? Like Russia, you're sitting here, here's these oil places having to sell off assets around the world because of the sanctions on them. And you're just like, guys, all you have to do, and I'm not loud, sorry, all you have to do is just stop invading someone. Stop invading another country. Like, how are we the crazy ones for wanting you to stop invading another country? Like, I don't understand. Like, put the process through your mind. Why do you think it's so important for you to go and invade another country that you're willing to see your assets across the globe go down? And you're not going to win at this point. So what's the point? What's the point? I don't understand what your point is at this point. Lots of points there in that point. But you can see this exact same mentality of us losing our minds on this stuff because of how it's expressed in the government shutdown. We're now entering a very, very long government shutdown. And I'm not really one big for government. I understand that. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that matter in the government shutdown. And all the Democrats are out there going on and on about how, SNAP and EBT and all these other things are going to be affected by it. And let's point out, our military will be affected by it, right? And they're going on and on about how it's the Republicans' fault and all this. And the Republicans are like, hey, we're just asking to continue. You guys are the nutcases that are literally trying to shove pork in this thing like there's no tomorrow. Like hogs are going out of style. Billions of dollars into pork, trying to shove it on us, telling us we have no choice but to take it. How crazy is that? Can we just think of how crazy that is? The government shutdown can stop tomorrow. If the Democrats just stop being loony bins. If they just stop being loony bins and accept I'm not happy with where the money is at right now. I'm not happy with how much of our money is being wasted and all that. But that's just even in this package that we have right now, that all they have to do is do the continuing resolution and it's done. It's already been agreed upon. All they have to do is sign it and go. But they're being so crazy out there. Oh, there are people, the SNAP and EBTs are not going to have their money if the Republicans don't take this massive pork package that we won and swallow it. Who's normal anymore? And how do they not realize how crazy they sound? And the problem is you have so many of these media companies out there supporting them in this garbage that it is mind-boggling. It completely is. How wildly covered this is to make it sound like the Republicans are some horrible oppressors and not wanting to shove all this crap in there. Makes you go crazy because you go, there's just a simple solution. To do things as normal. Doing the continuing resolution is just continuing things as they are currently. That's not cutting anything from it. It's currently as is. And they're saying we're not happy with that unless we shove a bunch of crap in there. And we can't do that every time. If every time you went to look at your checkbook, you said, oh, you know what? I should spend more. You know what? I know I got no money coming in, but I should spend more. Makes no sense whatsoever. And yet the craziness, it drives me nuts. The craziness of this is insane. Another story that came up, and that was quite interesting, is there's this whole ballroom scandal going on. I call it, I mean, it's not really a scandal, but this garbage going on about Trump building this ballroom. A bunch of nonsense. All right. I don't care one way or the other. There's only certain sections of the White House that are actually historic, and it's not the original White House that was burnt down. I mean, there's a lot of crazy things that have gone through the time. I'm not a big sentimental person with regards to that kind of thing. Cool. But one thing that was mentioned was Melania Trump may or may not like the fact that they're ripping down a section of the White House where her staff used to reside so that they can build this ballroom. And one of the things in the story that was mentioned by MSNBC says that Melania is taking a step back in this one, having a little bit less of a role. And I said, good. Why is the first lady doing anything? We didn't elect her. We elected Trump, right? We elected, or in the case of the previous administration, we elected Biden, right? I mean, you ended up having his wife shoving him around everywhere because she was literally the only energetic person of the two couple. But we don't elect the first lady. Who cares what she does? Honestly, who cares? Why should she have a staff of anything? She should be out doing whatever she wants to. I mean, helping him out. I don't care. Have her own life. Do whatever she wants to. Have a private life. I don't care. But why should we care if she's investing and involving and doing this and doing that? Who cares? It's gotten ridiculous. And one of the things that I really wanted to mention was the Tyler Robinson story that's come out now, where the judge is going to allow Tyler Robinson to wear normal civilian clothes during his trial so that the people that are looking at him are not biased against him. So someone gets to shoot another person in the neck with almost infallible proof at this point that he did it. Now, again, you have to say allegedly for the sake of not getting sued. And yet here's this alleged murderer, and we're not going to have him in a jumpsuit because that might affect the jury or whoever else watching. They might be affected by that and be convinced that this horrible, dirty, rotten piece of crap is a dirty, rotten piece of crap. This is the society we live in. And there's a story I didn't even get into, and this is kind of tied into it, where now British parents are literally learning martial arts to defend themselves from their children because this is the kind of world we're growing up in. And I keep saying it. If we keep allowing garbage to go unpunished, unchecked, unprevented in any way, shape, or form, it's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. And everything that you see in every other country, that's something you say, I want nothing to do with that, will come into our country if we don't do something about it. Now, at the bottom of this is, the very last note that I want to mention is Curtis Siwa. I have no, Sliwa, whatever his name is. Honestly, I don't care. There was an idea posited a long time ago when Trump was up for his first election. I remember because I was around and I just kind of started to be getting on Facebook and seeing a lot of comments back and forth and just seeing the nastiness that was on there, the garbage that was on there. And these Republicans, there's a movement, especially in the Republican movement, of people that are just absolutely stupid. Just absolutely stupid. They're so tired, they're so used to rather of losing that they rather lose and sit on their moral high ground than doing something useful. Now, I'm not recommending that anyone goes out and, in theory, votes for someone like a Cuomo. Obviously not. I don't endorse anything he says. I have nothing to do with what he says. But here's my point. This is what they said about Trump back in the day. And I remember having an argument with someone on Facebook, and because I wasn't really supportive of Trump at the very beginning, I was supportive of some other people, but it doesn't matter. And there's a conversation going on, and finally when I realized that there was only going to be one candidate, obviously because of the primary and all that, there was people out there trying to have a writing campaign for other conservatives because we've got to vote for the one that we believe is right because that's the morally right thing to do. Knowing that they had no chance of winning. And instead of not just no chance of winning, but then also the person who is currently the front runner for the Republican Party would potentially lose because of that garbage. But at least they'd have their moral superiority intact. And this is the garbage that's coming out of Curtis Sliwa. If you want to keep your little moral superiority, and I'm fighting for the city, I'm fighting for the city, you're not fighting for the city. Because if you knew what is going to happen when Mandani gets in, and you're doing everything you can to prevent someone like a Cuomo getting in, and again, mind you, Cuomo is horrible, guys. But we've got horrible and absolutely crappy horrible on the other side. Do you really care about your city if you're not willing to help out the lesser of two evils when you have zero chance? You have no chance whatsoever. But people like to sit on their moral high horses and take all of that. And because honestly, he's making money. He's making money. I mean, people are going to be putting in last-ditch efforts and ads and all kind of stuff trying to get him in. He's making money. He's making fame. He's out there getting all these shows. Probably has to feel good. But your little moral superiority is going to make someone get voted in who's going to absolutely trash the city that you supposedly love. So you know what I call you? I call you a liar. I call you a liar because if you love something so much, you're willing to step aside if that's what it takes to make it succeed and do better. And I'm not going to say New York's going to succeed under Cuomo. It won't. It won't do better. But it's already been a string of crazy liberals this whole time. Except now we're dealing with a liberal who's not only crazy liberal and communist, but he's also very, very, very cuddly and supportive of all the Islamic garbage out there. And the crazy stuff too, not just the normal stuff, the crazy stuff. And here is this guy, for his own sake of pride and moral superiority for whatever that's worth, who's going to ride it till it dies for no reason and no benefit to the very city that he says he wants to support. He's a fool. And this is the same kind of garbage that had it taken root in the Republican Party back in the day when it came to Trump, who probably would have had Trump today. And you can say all the negative things you want to say about Trump, and you can say all those things, and I'll agree with every single negative thing about Trump. I agree 100%. But would you rather have had Hillary? Would you rather have had Biden the second time? Or Kamala? Those are your choices, guys. Wake up and see the choices that you have. You don't have these lush, rainbow clouded choices. You're not riding a unicorn. We deal with facts. And when we deal with facts, we deal with certain circumstances that don't have the best scenarios sometimes. Get off your high horse. Give it up, Curtis. And let someone else potentially win. And we don't even know if he would win now. Because there's not been enough support now behind Cuomo. Now because of this guy. Who knows if he would win? So basically, you've sealed the deal for Mandani. Good choice. Mandani. Whatever his name is. Stop making impractical choices in our party. And start making practical choices. Reaching the ones that are around you in the smallest, most meaningful way. Stepping aside when that's the best choice to do. And working with people that you have to work with to accomplish the task that's needed for the time that it's needed. And have enough guts and integrity that you're willing to reach into the flames and not be burnt yourself. That's what we're called to do. We're called to go into the world and reach the lost. We can't do that if we're afraid to talk to anyone who might disagree with us. We cannot do that if we're afraid to talk to anyone who might taint us by their dirtiness that they have. Be stronger. Be better. Be bigger. Be willing to overcome. That's how you reach one. That's how you reach someone for God. I'm working around the people around me all the time. They disagree. They cuss. They do all kinds of horrible stuff. And still, we work on them because we want them to do better. We want to have a country that's good. And how do we do that? By reaching one for the gospel. And if we could take some tiny baby steps, that's huge. A tiny baby step for Curtis would be to step aside so that someone else could win. That would just destroy the city that much less. The city he supposedly loves. Try to reach one. Try to go out there. And I'm saying it again. I'm going to say it every time. Reach someone. Go out there and reach someone. And if you like what's on this channel and you feel like it's doing something for you and it might do something for someone else, share it. Spread it around. I have 54 subscribers, and I'm so proud of that, so happy of that. Not because it means that I'm great or good or anything else, because maybe there's a message out there that may resonate with someone who needs to hear it. I can't wait till we're at 100. I can't wait till we're at 200, 1,000, whatever it is, because that means there's more people hearing it and spreading the word around. And I don't necessarily want people that agree with me 100% to subscribe. I do to get out there, to get out there. But I want people who disagree with me, who are willing to hear and think and learn and grow, as we all should be. Become better. And while you're becoming better, drag people up with you. Bring them up with you. Make them better. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, please, to the channel. It really does help. And it doesn't matter what you comment, honestly. If you just comment anything, even if just an emoji, it makes a huge difference. Please, if you watch the video, just comment something. Even if it's just an emoji, it helps tremendously. Emoji of your choice. Okay? Thank you so much for watching.